There are some huge myths about promoting your music on Spotify that need to be cleared up. And the bad thing about these myths is that if you're not as experienced in this subject, you could fall prey into thinking that they're true. Now, this will be harmful for your long-term music career because you would have been allocating your marketing budget incorrectly the entire time. And the thing about these misconceptions is that they're coming out about not only Spotify promotion in general, but about different companies, and not just our company. So this is about other companies as well. There's misinformation being spread about which service is doing what, whether the plays are fake, whether they're real. And what we're trying to do in this video is get you to be knowledgeable about the subject so that when somebody comes along with some new shiny thing or some information or makes some video and makes some claims in some videos, you know how to spot what is true and what is not by your knowledge. Not just about what I say or what somebody else says. You know how to spot it by your knowledge of the subject. So the more you know about the subject of Spotify promotion, the more you're going to be equipped to go in the right direction with your music. Now, the reason you'd even listen to what we have to say is because we run over 10,000 campaigns for music. We actually offer both of the services that we're going to talk about. And we spent over $500,000 promoting in the music business online. So there's a unique perspective and experience that goes into what we're telling you, not just an opinion. And so this video is going to be a full review of our service and Spotify promotion in general so that you can know the truth about what's actually going on with Spotify promotion. So there are two main types of Spotify promotion most people are talking about. One is Spotify playlisting, and the other is trying to send over traffic from social media to your Spotify profile. So let's take a deep dive into the pros, the cons, the misconceptions, and the truth about each of these services. Because again, we actually offer both of these services. We offer Spotify playlisting, and we offer social media ads management for artists. So there are people online who are trying to get you to buy a course that essentially is going to tell you to send traffic from social media to your Spotify profile. Now, this strategy in and of itself is not bad, but the things that they're telling you are misguided because they have a false origin. They're telling you, do not do Spotify playlisting because this method is superior, it's going to work better across the board, which it just does not. There's some things that Spotify playlisting does do better than try to send over the traffic from social media. Now, I don't know the intent of these people, why they're trying to sell XYZ course to you, but by the way, guys, we give out our social media ads course whenever anybody purchases any promotion at all at omarimc.com. So we don't even necessarily sell our course. We're giving our course out, our social media ads course out, and we just give that as a bonus whenever people buy promotion. So we don't really sell too many copies of our social media ads course. It's just thrown in whenever people buy promotion from us. So the reason I mention that is because we're not going to try to sell you a course at the end of this video. We're just telling you this information so that you can be knowledgeable about both our service and some other services out there. But a lot of what we'd be addressing would be misinformation about our service in particular because we don't know exactly how other people are running their business. We do know exactly how we're running our business. So let's start with the pros and cons of Spotify playlisting. So the pros about Spotify playlisting that people don't mention is that you typically get lower cost per stream when you're running Spotify playlist promotions. The second pro is that the streaming metrics stay on Spotify versus staying on social media. And I'll break down what I mean by that. When you're running ads on social media, let's say you pay $100 to get 10,000 views, just for example. Now, the views you get on social media, they're only counting that view after somebody watches only 3 seconds of your ad on social media. Whereas on Spotify, somebody has to listen to at least 30 seconds of your song for it to count as a stream. So your views on social media automatically are going to be higher because there's obviously less time that somebody has to watch for them to count it as a view. Now, of the people who are most interested in your video, they're going to click through whatever listen now button or watch now button you have on your ad. The people who are most interested are going to be the only ones to click on that. So let's say you have 10,000 people watch that ad and 1,000 actually click through on it, which would be a freakishly high click-through rate. It'd probably be more like 1% of people would actually click through on it. And if it's doing really well, maybe like 3% of people. So let's go with that actually. Let's backtrack. Let's say 1% of people click through on that. That's going to be 100 clicks. So what you were trying to do with the ad was actually get Spotify streams from social media, but you only ended up with like 100 clicks from that ad, but they were the people who are most interested in your music. So it does have a pro and a con to it. Whereas when you run Spotify playlist promotion, these people are already on Spotify and they're just listening to a playlist. They might be in their house, they might be in their car, they might be working out, they might be doing whatever, right? But as long as they play at least 30 seconds, since they're already on the platform, they're going to be more likely to play at least 30 seconds of your song to decide whether or not they like it. You know, when somebody's watching an ad on social media, they're still, the people who are most interested are the ones who are going to watch more of the ad, and then that's going to get them to click the listen now button in the first place. Whereas on Spotify, if somebody's just listening to a playlist, they're going to let it play a little bit longer. You know, they might let it play 30 seconds. They might let it play 45 seconds if they want to. And then they'll decide to skip it or not sometimes. So people go through different listening motions. Within the first 5 seconds, if they really don't like a song, they're going to skip it. Between 5 and 30 seconds, they're going to decide if they want to play the song through or not. And then after 30 seconds, it counts as a stream on Spotify. So from 30 seconds to the end of that song, somebody is deciding usually whether they want to hit the save button or not on your song, but it still counts as a stream. So that's why when you run the promotion through playlists rather than through social media, you're going to get more streams typically on Spotify itself, which is where you were trying to get the metrics in the first place. Now, some cons about Spotify playlisting, which again, we sell Spotify playlist promotion, and we're telling you guys this because we are actually knowledgeable about the subject. Some cons about Spotify playlisting is that you're typically going to get a lower save ratio, a lower save per stream ratio than you would with social media ads. Why? Because of the reason I stated before. People who clicked on your ad on social media were already interested in that song because they clicked on the ad. So sometimes you can get a save rate that's like 30-40%. Whereas if somebody's listening to it on a playlist for the first time, they're still going through the vetting process. They're still deciding whether they like that song or not. So you're going to get more streams and a lower save ratio. But if you look at it overall, if you think about all the people you served your ad to on social media versus all of them that eventually click that save button, it's probably going to equal out. It's just that all your views stayed on the ad versus all your streams being on Spotify itself. And then the second con, which is a pro and a con, is you usually have to be more knowledgeable about how to spot good playlists to get featured on Spotify. So we have more videos on our YouTube page about how we research good playlists, but here's just a couple tips we use to find good playlists on Spotify for our network. One is SEO. Does the list title have good search traffic naturally that's going to the list? So if something is already ranking for a pretty popular search term on Spotify, it's going to get natural traffic to it. Two is the list running ads to get more followers and listeners to the list. So running ads to a list is a good thing because we know if they can show us their ad receipts that these are obviously real people that they're paying for to try and get more traffic over to their list. Number three would be the location of the listeners on the list. Now, this does not mean that people in one country are better than people in another or anything like that. It just means that if we notice that one list is getting listeners all in one location, but that location doesn't really have that many people in it in the first place, that would be a sign for us that we need to dig deeper into that list to find out if it's real or not. Number four is the amount of followers each list on the profile has. And so sometimes if you have a profile that has like 10 different lists and they all have over 100,000 followers, usually that's a bad sign that that is not a good profile to be doing business with or putting into our network. Typically, the more variation per list on the profile, the better. Number five is the follower graph of the list, and you can look at the follower graphs of lists on sites like Spot on Track or Chartmetric. Now, the lists do have to be indexed before they can start giving you those metrics, and you do have to pay for this service. This is a service that we pay for in order to research good lists, but that is another way that we use to verify if a list is authentic or not. And then number 6 is the number of listeners per follower on the list. So this is seeing how many listeners per song that this list is typically getting. Now, as a general rule of thumb, you're looking for good activity, but if it gets suspiciously high, like if a list only has 5,000 followers and every single song on the list is getting like 4,000 listens per month, that's usually not the natural listening habit of a playlist. Now, let's hop over to some pros of sending traffic to Spotify from social media. As I mentioned before, you usually get a higher save ratio whenever you're sending traffic from social media to Spotify because the people who clicked on your ad were already the most interested. You can also simultaneously be building your audience on social media as well as your Spotify listeners because you can try to get both followers on social media when you're running those ads and send traffic over to Spotify so it can have a dual purpose. And lastly, you can choose the primary location you want from your listeners. With Spotify playlisting, you can't really choose the location. You're just going based off of the genre of the song. And it can be broad match on Spotify playlisting too. If you're going for a big campaign, well, obviously you're not going to get into all niche genre lists if you're going for a big campaign. It's going to be more broad. You're going to fall into, if you do pop music and it sounds like it can also fit into a workout playlist, you're going to fit perfectly fine into a workout playlist with Spotify playlists. But with social media traffic shooting over to Spotify, you can pretty much find the people who are just going to be most interested in the music, and then those are the people who are going to click on it. Some cons of sending traffic from social media to Spotify is that, again, it's usually going to cost more per stream whenever you're doing this method. Now, let's say that you're trying to target people in primary market locations. That's US, UK, Canada, Australia, usually those 4, and then maybe a couple others are peppered in. Those countries cost the most to serve ads to. So a good rate, a good cost per click on those countries is usually going to be around like 20 cents a click. That's a really good rate to get traffic, good traffic from IG over to Spotify. Now, typically we've found from the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we spent that the best traffic for this is actually going to come from IG over FB. Now, if you're just doing general worldwide targeting on Spotify, you might match the price of the price per stream that you were getting with Spotify playlisting. But usually the locations are going to be better with a Spotify playlisting versus if you just go worldwide targeting with your social media ads. Another con is that it can be difficult to truly optimize your ads as a novice marketer. So if you have not spent thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of dollars on social media ads, there's usually things that you're just going to be missing from your ads, little nuances that make a big difference in how well your ads perform and the goal of your ads, that when you run them, you have nothing to really compare the results to. You're just comparing the results to yourselves and the knowledge that you have of them. Now, one of the big pros of going with a professional service like ours on the ads is that you see what somebody who actually does ads as a company does inside your ads manager and your ads account, and you get to mimic that and optimize it based off of what we do. So a lot of people even just go with the ads for a few months if they're the type that wants to learn them and doesn't want somebody to do them for them. Some people just order our ad service, see what we do for a few months, and then they can make informed decisions for the rest of their life based off of what we've done. And then some people, they don't really want to learn all that complicated marketing stuff, so they just hire a company to just do it for them, and either one is both happy with the end result. Now, the biggest common misconception about both of these is that artists think that people are going to follow their Spotify profile. Now, if somebody follows your Spotify profile, it's kind of extra gravy on the biscuit, but that is not the main metric you're looking for with Spotify promotion. What you're looking for is streams and saves on Spotify. Why? Because there's no real benefit that happens when somebody follows your Spotify profile. If you think about it, one, what you would be trying to do is remarket to that audience. And on Spotify, half of their users are paid users. So even if you send them remarketing ads on Spotify, it's only going to half of the people. Whereas if you did that on social media, you could get way more of your audience. And the main thing that happens on Spotify when somebody follows you is that you might show up in their release radar playlist, and you might get a couple of recommendations in an email from Spotify that pretty much goes to your promotions folder in Gmail anyway. So there's no big benefit for somebody to follow you on Spotify. If you think about it, in your own library, you have way more songs saved than you have artists followed. And the artists that you follow, you probably followed on social media anyway. So again, it's not that you're not looking for Spotify followers, but the main metrics of success for a campaign are going to be your streams and saves. If followers happen, they kind of happen, but you should be trying to get those followers on social media anyway. Spotify is largely a streaming platform, not a social platform. There's no comments, there's no DMs on Spotify. You can't really communicate with your fans that much anyway. But this doesn't mean that those other metrics are useless, because obviously Spotify still has millions and millions of paid users and free users. So people are obviously on there, and you want to use those metrics that you need on Spotify, but get the metrics that are better served elsewhere. And the second biggest misconception is that whenever you are removed from the playlist, that all the streams you were getting when you were on playlists or when you were running ads are just going to continue. Now, that usually doesn't happen for any form of marketing anywhere. If you stop paying for marketing, and during the marketing, you were in front of a whole lot more people than you were before you were marketed, it doesn't continue after you stop paying for that. So unless you somehow get on enough algorithm playlists on Spotify to just have that continue for months, after you even stop paying for social media ads or after you stop paying for playlists, it's not going to continue your monthly listener count. Your monthly listener count is typically going to go down after you stop doing marketing, and that's anywhere. Unless you've paid for so much marketing that you can stop paying and still have the growth happen. And usually when you see that line of growth happening, you've paid millions and millions of dollars into marketing to be able to sustain yourself without marketing. Don't expect for the plays and streams and activity to just continue without continually advertising yourself. And as a business owner, you're actually, especially as a small business, you're always trying to market yourself. There's not a time where you're trying to stop marketing. You're just trying to get it to the point where you can spend XYZ amount and make more back. And so now that you have more knowledge about this, about how our service works in particular, one, you can make informed decisions about where to put your budget. Two, you can spot out lies that people put and bad logic that they use to come after our service or other services. And three, you can come up with a real plan to further your music career. And so here's just one example of what your budget may look like. Now, what you're trying to do is allocate your budget based on your end goals. So most artists have an end goal of finally making a sustainable income from your music career. And different platforms serve different purposes when you're trying to reach that end goal. Now, we go over that more in other videos, but here's what a basic percentage breakdown looks like. Now, this is not the same for every single artist, but most artists fall somewhere into these categories. It's about 40 to 50% of your ad spend going towards social media, 20 to 25% going towards YouTube or Google, 20 to 25% going towards Spotify, and then whatever remaining budget you have, you can kind of throw at Apple Music or TikTok to see how those do. And if those start to really pick up, you can allocate more ad spend towards those platforms. Now, you never want to build your audience all in one place. Just like with investing, you want to have it diversified. And as a music artist, you are an entrepreneur. You're investing in your business, so you want to have your investment diversified. Now, again, the reason we know all this is because we actually do all these services, which means we have the experience, not just opinion about this stuff. So whether you want to learn more about this ad stuff by getting that social media ads course included with your purchase at omarimc.com, or you just want somebody to market for you and come up with an actual marketing plan for your music career, you can get both of those options by clicking on the link somewhere in around this video. It's going to take you to omarimc.com, and me and my team will get started on your order as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.